All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful Friday afternoon. May God bless everybody in the name of Jesus, Yeshua the Messiah. I pray you and your family are super blessed. I got wrecked, guys. I lost everything last night. And by everything, I mean, I gave back like half the gains I made last week, which just kind of sucks, honestly. But you know what, guys? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Part of the dang game. Part of the game. Bitcoin still not making a lower low on most exchanges. Are we going to get a bounce? Are we going to dump more? We're currently below the 200-day moving average. Historically speaking, a candle close on the daily below the 200-day moving average results in a few weeks of downside. All right? It results in a few weeks of sideways and nothingness. All right? In fact, the entirety of this uptrend here, we have seen that once we close the daily candle below the 20 plus 180 day, the 20 plus 180 day moving average, also known as the 200-day moving average, we get some sideways action. Are we going to close the candle below that today? Very, very interesting stuff. Very, very, very interesting stuff. Bitcoin currently, let's see, I think we've got, you know, we just take these lows here, we could see a little bit more of a move down to around the $94,000, $96,000 area. And let us not forget, that is a very key zone. All right. So we're going to be discussing exactly what is going on. All right. Obviously, I'm still in the short trade from last 2 weeks ago now, I guess, with the setup given in advance in the Casper crew. All right. I'm a little bit of a long scalp as well here. Just a little bit of a long scalp. Already pretty much mostly out of the position. All right. And, yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. We will see what happens with this juicy price action. We got to give a major shout to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Getchy. Shout out to Learning with Aaron. Shout out to Raphael. Shout out to Crypto Coons holding it down with the wrench. Major shout out to Endwin Kombic. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Shout out to Crypto Billy. What's going on? God bless you, my man. God bless you, bro. So good to see you here, man. Crypto Billy is the man. Shout out to the Whiskey Reaper who says start it up. Shout out to Crazy Waffles. Who's ready to DCA to the bottom? Honestly, I'm not looking to buy any spot Bitcoin unless we are a 50% drop from the all-time high at least. He's late. Time for coffee. Yeah. I'm late, says Crazy Waffles. I gotta fire myself. Shout out to Chasing Elizabeth. Worst bull run ever. Shout out to Brandon, who says mad love. Shout out to Limitless, who says make sure to like and sub. Shout out to Preparing for War. Shout out to HFG in the house. God bless you, my man. So good to see you here. Shout out to Jason, who says this market is garbage. Keith M. Jeffs, can't be hopeful. The stage of game. Lock it in. Shout out to Harry Williams, who says, what's up, y'all? What's going on, y'all? Harry Williams, you know, looks like a cool guy, you know. Harry Williams is a cool guy. Look, he's got muscles. He's got one arm covered in tattoos. Man, he's got a hat, glasses. I feel like me and Harry Williams, you know, look, kind of got that kindred spirit going on, if you know what I'm saying. Shout out to Felix H. Shout out to Siobhan. Shout out to Mickey. Crypto is driven by market and bond market, by macro and bond market, not the DXY. Tied to the NASDAQ, and the benchmark is the 10-year yield. SOFR rates are exploding to March 2020 levels and above. Not good at all, not good at all. Shout out to yours. He says, shout out to you, Jason. God bless. God bless you. Shout out to Beg Coins. Apparently 103.4 was the 800 moving average. 800 daily? You know, I don't know. Uptober turned into Rectober. Shout out to Crypto Mall. Shout out to Bunaroth Som. 100K a year ago. Sound like utopia, but look at us now. I know. Yeah, it's funny how the Bitcoin price goes, right? It's funny how that Bitcoin price goes. You know, prices and how good or bad we feel is all relative. To be honest with you, I don't really care at all about the Bitcoin price as a trader, and I'm pretty happy with the Bitcoin price as a hodler. Can't be upset about a $106,000 BTC. You know? You can't really be upset about it. 92K incoming. People saying worst bull run ever. They won't be saying that when the price goes to from 90K to 220, says Ion Hype. Yeah, the question is, here's the real question. All right. Dictator says, Jay, you're looking buff. I don't feel buff, Dictator. I haven't been on my game lately with the diet and the training and all that stuff, you know. Tom DeHauer, you lost 40K in the past week. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I don't even look at my spot portfolio, right? But yeah, the last 7 days of my trading, like last week was amazing for me. Last week I longed the exact top. I caught all these bounces on the way down. This week, man, I ended up, like I said, I gave back like half my gains. I gave back half my gains from last week. Not fun. Not fun. All right. But I can't be upset. I'm still in profit for the week. I'm still in profit for the week. Right? Across my 3 accounts. These are my 7-day P&Ls across my 3 accounts that I'm currently trading on. So I can't be upset, but I should be upset because, you know, obviously my KCEX account should have had way more profit in there, considering, you know, how much money I made last week. But, you know, it is what it is. And here's the thing. You just got to move on. You just got to move on. I mean, it's part of the game, guys. And next week's going to be a good one, right? This has been a pretty bad week for me as far as trading goes. But next week's going to be a new week. And last week was a great week. And the risk management, that's what's up, you know? What do I think about collateralizing my spot? I don't know. I don't know. I don't recommend it. I gotta be honest. I don't recommend it. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to Steak Sauce. Also look like they're pricing in a sub 100K Bitcoin. Well, let's pop on over to the Bitcoin chart here, okay? And let's just take a look, first of all, at what is happening here with this 200-day moving average, because I do think this is pretty important, the 200-day moving average. We're seeing that historically, a daily close below the 200-day moving average means we are sideways for quite some time. All right. Now, remember, this is the end of the 4th year of the halving cycle. And historically speaking, that is where we get a big pullback. That is where we get a big pullback. You know, we closed below the 200-day moving average. We had a 2-month sideways, then back in October 2024, we had a 3-month sideways, and then back here in the spring of 2025, as soon as we close the daily candle below, we end up with about a month and a week sideways, give or take, month 0.2 weeks, right? So we close this, we are expecting lackluster price action for at least 2 weeks. All right, or at least I should say a month or so. That's going to take us to November 2025. All right, so remember, we could still see a move to the upside in November 2025. We're looking, you know, we're looking in these next few months if we're going to make another all-time high for it to happen here. So that being said, let's take a look at like what's going on. First of all, if we take our Fibonacci from the low to the high, you can see that $94,000 is going to be our Fibonacci golden pocket, the 618. All right, very important level. Also, if we take the volume of all of this, we can see that the high volume node and the value area low is coming in literally right around that 618 as well. If we take the anchored VWAP from the August 2024 lows, you can see that the volume weighted average price is coming in right around 94K as well. And also, if we take a trend line like this, you can see that the trend line, the trend below line, is also coming right in this area. So we have a lot of intersectionality. All right, a lot of intersectionality. Shout out to all my fat, white, ambiguously gendered college students majoring in trans, non-carbon, binary emission gender studies like I did back in college. Here's a picture of me back in college when I was majoring in trans, non-carbon, binary emission gender studies. you know, obviously I can no longer look this way anymore simply because, well, it takes so long to get ready in the morning. And when you're on the charts every day, you just don't have time for that. In fact, it's weird. When you're doing things in your life, you're being productive, you're making money, you're having a family, you're enjoying yourself, you just don't have time for this, you know? But we have a lot of intersectionality down here. Which means I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, we do a little sideways and down until November. And here's what we really need to understand about this key level. We're going to put a little box on the chart here. You know, sadly, Gen Z now is getting so conservative that it's not going to be counterculture anymore to make fun of woke people anymore. Because pretty soon, you know, everyone's going to be conservative because the pendulum swings. That's how the Hegelian dialectic works. They pushed us so far left, people said enough is enough of this gay crap. Time to be normal again. So now we're going to be normal again, and it's going to go way too far to the right. And so it's going to be like a decade or two of extreme right-wing nonsense until people are like, enough of this crap. Then the pendulum will swing back to the left. It's the Hegelian dialectic. It's like, that's how they take the steps forward to march the agenda on toward the worldwide government and authoritarian dystopian control state. But this goes beyond the scope of my crypto analysis video here, so we won't talk about it. But it's sad that it's not going to be cool to make fun of the wokes anymore. But here's the thing, look. This is such a key level. Why? Because below this level, all right, below 91K, and somebody said, no one's going to think this bull run sucks when we go from 90K to 200K. And they're right. I mean, honestly, the truth is, this is such an important level that if it doesn't hold, that's really bad. But we can see how key of a support this really is. And if we're going to continue with some upside, all right, this is the place where it's probably going to happen from. Now, do I think we're going to 200K? I was talking a little bit about it yesterday. Like, there's two possibilities here, right? Possibility number one is that, well, the 4-year cycle is broken, right? What's a good case to make right now that the 4-year cycle is broken? I think the strongest case to make that the 4-year cycle is broken is what happened before the halving. All right, remember the 4-year cycle is based on the halving, and historically speaking, around 500 days after the halving, which is right around now, we top out and we enter into a year-long bear market with about 70 to 80% correction. All right, so the first sign that the 4-year cycle is broken actually happened back in January 2024, where we came up to the Fibonacci golden pocket from the all-time high to the bear market bottom. Now, historically speaking, when we hit into that Fibonacci golden pocket before the halving, on our way up after the bear market ends, we get about a 60% pullback, and we come and we back test. I'm sorry, we don't get a 60% pullback. We get a 40% pullback, and we come and back test the shelf that we made in the bull market, which acted as resistance in the bear market, right? Every single other time, you can go back and back test this. Just, I don't think I can do it here on Bybit. Yeah, I think I could do it on Bybit, actually. Let's see here. No, I can't do it on Bybit. I have to go to a Coinbase. But just trust me, bro. All the best YouTube crypto analysis go by the just trust me, bro kind of vibe, all right? So, usually we get a 40% pullback to test that base. We did not. This time we only got a 20% pullback. And then we got a big pump, and we actually made a new all-time high, higher than the previous bull run cycle before the halving. Remember, the halving came around, when was the halving? April 2024, the halving was right around here. We actually hit a new all-time high before the halving. So far, there is a case to be made that the 4-year cycle is no longer operational. And if it's the case that historically where we would see big pullbacks, now we see small pullbacks, well, we're around that time of 500 days after the halving, right? The halving happened around April 8th or so, 2024. And we are currently, right now, 560 days past that, right? So historically speaking, the top should be in. But if we're going to see a smaller pullback here, well, one of the places to be aware of is going to be that $94-ish thousand. That's going to be a 25% pullback from the all-time high. All right. Now, we've seen 30% pullbacks already in this bull run. So I almost feel like maybe that's not going to be the level, right? If we do really start to get a real pullback here, 94K, very important. We have to look for a long there. And 94K is a zone, by the way. 94K is a zone where we're taking all the volume that traded since Trump wins the election. And basically, we're talking about the price between 91K and 97K. All right, it's a $6,000 zone here. If we lose that zone, well, then we could see more of a pullback. And the next major area of support that we're going to have on the chart is actually going to be the back test of these highs here. All right, it's going to be the back test of these highs, which we never actually came back to back test. The previous cycle all-time high confluence with this little bull flag that we printed here, right? That's going to be about a 50% correction. That's going to be about a 45 to 50% correction coming in right around that $65,000, $67,000 area. What this would do actually is this would actually give us something very nice and very bullish. Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just thinking about scenarios here because, you know, when we look at this objectively here, you could say, okay, we have ourselves a clearly defined range. The clearly defined range is with our high at around 110,000. Our clearly defined low is around $74,000. When we came to the high, we broke out. We spent a little time up here. And now we're breaking down below. So holding below $110,000, we could see a move back down to the bottom of this range and see at the opposite of what we saw at the top of the range, right? Bitcoin loves to do this. Bitcoin loves to do this. Let me show you on a smaller time frame what I mean, right? We've just seen Bitcoin do this locally, right? What did we do? Well, we had a clearly defined high. Well, first we had a clearly defined low here, right? We had a clearly defined low right here, right? The Bitcoin price spent some time below the low, and then boom, it came back to the high, right? We had a clearly defined high up here. Bitcoin price spent some time above the high, and then boom, it came back down to the low, right? We might even be seeing something similar happen right here, where we have a clearly defined low and we spend some time and then we get to move back up, which is why we're really keeping our eyes on that 200 moving average, right? But we just need to be aware of these scenarios, right? And that would actually be a very healthy move. I know it's scary for a lot of people, but when in doubt, zoom out is what they say. And if we do zoom out here, I'd say this. I mean, assuming the 4-year cycle is broken, but we're still going to get a bit of a pullback here, that would actually be really, really healthy. That would be super healthy, right? When we look at it this way, we get a fake out of the high, we get a fake out of the low, and then we continue on. This would then be a nice consolidation where we're back testing and forming this shelf here, this nice support showing indeed the Bitcoin price is undervalued below 70K. All right. Now, we lose this. That is where I'd say the 4-year cycle is still intact, and then we could get a move all the way back down to the low 30s. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's where we could see Bitcoin go. And I know that's crazy, and people hear that and they say, Jason, there's no way, 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 there's no way. But here's the thing, guys. There is a way, and the way is this. Every single 4-year cycle, if the 4-year cycle is not broken, every single 4-year cycle, we retrace back down to the 786 to 886 every single time. Which means if the top is in now, and we're going to lose our very key support, then yeah, we're coming back down below $40,000 Bitcoin. All right? You know, if the 4-year cycle is still intact, that's where we're going. And you could hate it. You could say, Jay, there's no way. There's no way, Jay. There's no way. Oh, look, I've been in this game for a long time. And every single all-time high, they said, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. All right. I remember when everyone was calling for 30K back in 2017 and $3,000 Bitcoin. There's no way. All right. $15,000 Bitcoin. There's no way. People said 25K would be the bottom for sure in 2021. For sure. We're not going to see lower than 30K, they said. There's no way we'll see lower than 30K now. There's too much money in Bitcoin now. You know, I've heard it all before. So, look, I'm open to the 4-year cycle being broken. I'm open to less of a pullback. I'm open to continued upside. But we should not ignore the fact that, historically speaking, the top is very near. We shouldn't ignore that. If you're going to ignore that, then you are not preparing yourself as well as you could be for making money in these markets. All right, and you're going to be caught off guard, and you're probably going to get wrecked, right? So we have to be aware of these things, and we have to take our trades accordingly. We have to plan accordingly for that, right? So for me, what does that mean? Well, for me, that means obviously I'm going to be looking for trades around the $94,000 to $97,000 area. I'd actually be looking to buy Bitcoin on spot below 70,000, and I would be irresponsibly buying Bitcoin on spot below 40,000. Irresponsibly buying Bitcoin on spot below 40K. All right, in the event that the 4-year cycle is still intact, anything under 40K is like you buying under 20K in 2022, or you buying under 5K in 2020 or 2019. Pick your year. Right? That's what that means. So let's take a look at the local stuff here. Take a look at the local time frames. And let's see what we got going on. All right, so Bitcoin is, technically speaking, if we're going to be honest with this local range, we are technically getting a bounce from the Fibonacci 786 right here. Kind of. Right? And we're currently being rejected by our $107,500 low that we had over here yesterday. This is currently now our high. If we can come above 109, 121, well, then we actually have a nice change of market structure here. For the first time, we're making a higher high, and that could be our ticket to squeeze back up to around $117,000, simply still trading this sideways range here, right? So, also if we take a look at what's happened locally here, right, we got to move to the downside. We pull our fib from the low to that first impulse, and then we bounce from the Fibonacci golden pocket. We make another higher high. So we are seeing some signs here of more upside potential. We do have some bullish divs on our time frames here. On the 24-minute, we do have some bullish divergence. The 1 hour, technically speaking, we do not have bullish divergence on Bybit, but if we go to Coinbase, we do have bullish divergence on Coinbase because Coinbase took that low. And this is a very important low here on Coinbase. This low here at 107,000, a very, very, very important low. It was a very important support all week. And so now it's a very important resistance. And again, our first real sign of strength is, I would say, a reclaim of 109.4 and then the back test of 107. That will be our first real sign here of big move potential coming here. And, you know, around that, we'll also have like the Fibonacci golden pocket, give or take, depending on how high we come up there, right? So we could be seeing something like this happen potentially even over the weekend. And then really, we do need to be very much so aware of our resistances above us, namely 117.6. That's the high volume node of our range right there. And pull the fib from the high to the low. That's also our Fibonacci golden pocket, right? So just be aware that this is possible, a rejection from this area. And if we come up to this area, then honestly, I would say we could now be looking for the rounded bottom, the introverted head and shoulders to form. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't look for that. If we can come back inside the range, hold above 111,000, we make a higher high, we could absolutely look for a higher low, right? There's no reason why we can't. But I would say this. Right now, the high time frames to me are looking pretty scary. And I'll tell you why. The monthly time frame is about to confirm in 14 days. I'm sorry, the monthly time frame has confirmed 14 days ago another drive of bearish divergence. All right. The 2-month time frame is about to confirm in 14 days a bearish divergence. All right, the 2-month time frame bearish div is about to confirm in 14 days. The 2-day time frame, we have seen multiple drive of bearish divergences at these highs. As we continue to make slightly higher highs, we are making bearish divergences here on Market Cipher B. We're seeing the dreaded upside down Sam Bankman-Fried man boob pattern. Not this pattern, this pattern. As the price is just struggling to make higher highs, we're seeing the man boobs getting lower and lower, and we don't know why they get lower and lower, but they do. Put this on the chart, we stretch out. The resemblance is striking, you know? So yeah, the month, the 2-month, the month, the week, the 2-day, all have some bearish signs here. We come down to our 4-hour. The 4-hour money flow looks pretty bad. Now, here's the only good thing I see about the 4-hour is that the waves are very oversold, and we are seeing some bullish divergence here, right? So for me, I'm bearish more than bullish here. I have to be, because the higher time frames look like there's more downside. I'm very much so open for a move up to this range where I'll be looking for a rejection. And then depending on how things look, I will be looking for, because I'm a trader, like, you have to be looking for a bounce from the back test of this area, right? You have to be looking for that. But I also recognize we have our high, we have our low, we've been making our lower high, and then we could be looking to make a lower low, and that lower low is likely going to come in at the high volume node of the whole range, confluence with the Fibonacci golden pocket from April. That's going to be around the $94,000 to $97,000 zone, right? I'd say if we reject from 117,000, the bearish target for that move is going to have to be something like this, right? Something like this, and then we could look for the bounce, right? It's a really nice level down here. It's actually a very nice level for all the reasons we just went over. You know, this is like a big swing trade zone right here. This is a big swing trading zone right down here for potential new all-time highs. You know, and again, the reason why we'd be looking for something like this is because it's our Fibonacci golden pocket, it's our value area low POC, and it's our anchored VWAP from August 2024, right? That could be a really nice move right there. Also, it's just historic support. You know, we don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that this level was support all through December 2024, November 2024, and January, February 2025, right? So we're basically just coming back down to this historic support. Fibonacci golden pocket. You know, if this was any other time frame, if this wasn't the daily time frame, this is like the 1-hour time frame, we'd all be like, yeah, this is the trade to look for here. We'd say, yeah, let's take the low at 98, and maybe let's go for the liquidity at 92, and let's bounce from that golden pocket where we have the historic support resistance flip. Right? If this was the 1-hour time frame, everybody and their mom would be posting this trade in their VIP discords, and everyone in the VIP discords would be sharing it in the free discords that exist just to share the VIP Discord setups. You know? Everyone would be posting this. That looks nice, honestly. Now, if the 4-year cycle really is broken and we're going to see bullishness into 2026 and beyond, yeah, I don't see why we couldn't actually shoot for like around $147,000. Right? I don't see why we couldn't actually shoot for something like this. In fact, let me just, out of curiosity, see here. I'm just curious, because if we did come down to that level, you know, when would we actually... Yeah, nah, it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out so good. It doesn't work out so good. Oh, wow. Actually, look at this, actually. Wow. Look at this. This is on log scale. This doesn't work on normal scale. This is quite interesting. Whoa. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this 200-day moving average, guys, is so key. Wow, look at this level, man. A loss of this level would be so bad. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. This is crazy. This is the trend line from August. The trend line from August 2024. How far back can we pull this thing? I'm going to Gareth Salloway it right here. Let's see. Let's Gareth Salloway it. Interesting. Look at this, you know. Interesting. We could technically been respecting this since the big breakout in October 2023. You know. This is quite interesting. Man, we lose this trend line. Not looking good, to be honest with you. But a fake out of this would also be nice, right? We come down to the 94-ish $1,000 zone. We come back above. That could be, yeah, that could be a nice way to look for a local long upon a macro reclaim after a loss of this. Let me just see where that 200-day moving average comes in now. Yeah, it's right around the same zone. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm so curious to see what's going to happen here. Let's go back down to our 6-minute time frame, see what's going on. All right. Let's check out my scalp trade here. I took a little scalp. Nothing serious. We'll see what happens here. We're rejecting from this area. Major TP zone at 107.3. Already mostly out of the trade, 60% out. So, yeah, let's see. Very interesting. This level right here, 107.4, is going to be super, super key right now. It's going to be super, super key. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Major shout to everyone in the house. We got 1,200 viewers. We only have 300 likes. Let's see if we can't get the likes up to the watchers. Let's see if we can't get the likes up to the watchers. Gold is selling off. Is that good for Bitcoin? It could be. Let's check out gold. It could be good for Bitcoin. The reason why is because gold has been taking center stage. Wow, bearish engulfing on the daily for gold. Wow. I mean, look, it's only a matter of time, really, before gold sees something like this. All right, let's actually take a look at gold here. You know, I would not be surprised if we see gold come back down to test 3,500. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if gold backtests 3,500. If gold backtests 3,500, that is a great buy right now on gold. This is not a sustainable pattern here. We need some kind of a big pullback on gold. Yeah, gold's been stealing center stage, so you know, we've got this kind of thing here. This is called the water slide pattern, all right? The chutes and ladders pattern. That's what this thing is called. Come back down to the support resistance slip, the Fibonacci golden pocket. Let's check out the volume here. Curious to see. Oh, yeah. I mean, wow. You know. Man, we see gold at or below 3,500. That is a good buy. That is a great buy. You know, it kind of reminds me of when we backtested, where was that? Backtested 2,500? I forget where we were looking last time gold was pumping and we were looking for an entry. That looks nice, you know? This is totally unsustainable here. I wonder what that looks like on Hike and the She candles. Wait, where are Hike and the She? Ah, yeah, wow. Look at that. Look at that. That doesn't look very sustainable. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, this could be bullish for Bitcoin because gold has taken center stage. So let's see if Bitcoin can close the daily candle above the 200-day moving average here. Again, on the derivative exchanges, we are seeing a bounce from around the Fibonacci 786, give or take. On the Coinbase, we are seeing bullish divergence here. And so, yeah, there's a chance that we can get a move back up to around 117.5. Right, 117.5, that would be the next target in the event of a pump. Right, that's going to be major resistance. Fibonacci golden pocket. Right, that's going to be major resistance. If we break above 117, well, we could be out of the bearish woods. We don't close above 200-day moving average. Not good. And we'll probably see something similar to what we see every other time we close the daily candle below the 200-day moving average. Gold could consolidate at 3,500 for 20 years. Yeah, but gold is not, in my opinion, gold is not a make money quick asset. Dave Flowers, like, in my opinion, gold is for the long-term asset, preservation of purchasing power. And yeah, I'm a big fan of gold. What's the egg code? Guys, the egg code for this stream is zucchini. All right, zucchini, zucchini, zucchini. If you don't know what the egg codes are, all right, if you don't know what the egg codes are, head on over to the Discord, either the free or the VIP. If you're in the VIP, you get 5 times the amount of eggs. All right, but over here in the egg rewards section, all right, you can get these eggs. All right, you can accumulate these eggs and use them to win prizes. All right, we're actually going to be doing some giveaways this coming week. All right, we've got our previous winners here. We're going to be doing some games in here where you can win money and stuff with your eggs. The way you get your eggs is you go to the Quests channel and you click the claim button for this live stream and you type in zucchini. Zucchini. Z-U-C-C-H-I-N-I. All right, click submit and you'll get your eggs. All right, now I get 5x multiplier because I'm a VIP. All right, by the way, guys, major shout out to KCEX. 0% limit order, 0.01%. Market order best fees, plus they're giving away $21,000. Also got to give a shout to KCEX, not KCEX, WEEX, 50% future bonus, all that good stuff. And I'm also trading on BLOFIN. BLOFIN, 10% cash back. If you sign up using my link on BLOFIN, you get 0.02% market order fees. BLOFIN, no one's going to give you lower fees on BLOFIN than the Casper link, all right? Also, if you want to join the Casper Crew VIP Discord, you go to jasoncaspertrading.com, click the link to join. Make sure to check it out. All right? And also, guys, if you know how to trade but you don't have money, then you can check out Klein Funding, where I have 15 and 25% discounts for these funded accounts. You don't even have to pass the challenge for an Instant Pro account. You can trade with a $50,000 account for about $1,000 right away. If you want to pass the test, you could trade with a $200,000 account for less than $500. All right. It runs on Bybit. You don't need to KYC. You just need a VPN. So it's actually a legitimately good deal. All right. Legitimately. KCEX or BLOFIN for European traders? I'd say both. Show my live position. This is the short from last week. Actually, when was this? When did we give that? Oh, man. I guess October 4th, October 5th is when the setup was given, that Monday. And then the trade was taken on the 6th of October at 3:48 p.m. And this is the position live short. My long position is probably going to be stopped out soon. Scalp trade here. I've already closed out 60% of the position. All right, those are my only 2 Bitcoin trades right now that I'm currently in. All right. Shout out to Zealot. I don't have a gold position, but I do hold a lot of gold. All right, gold hidden out in the woods in a treasure chest deep underground where no one knows where it is. I'm not even joking. That's where I keep gold. Might as well trade taco shells. Just kidding. He says shells or beads. Retail traders clobbered. What's true money? Rocks. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Gold is a rock, and gold is legit. Shout out to Abir. God bless you. Shout out to Bleh University. He says, Jay, we're in extreme fear. The pendulum usually swings to the other side once things settle down. Thoughts about buying or 2x longing alts at key levels here? I mean, it depends on what the alt is. Whatever you do, just make sure you have a plan. That's all I can say. Because right now, we could see things going either way. ETH obviously came down to a major support, right? AVAX came down to a major support like crazy. You know, the thing is, a lot of these coins, the gains back have already been made here, right? Like AVAX is up 150% from the low. That's crazy. In one day, though, it dumped 70. So you even would have gotten liquidated on that drop on 2x leverage. Whatever you do, make sure you have a plan, okay? I'm very neutral right now. I'm hoping for upside. I'm hoping for upside, man. You know, I've got a lot of altcoins in my portfolio that I'm looking to sell at all-time highs. So I'm hoping for upside. But I would be very cautious, leverage anything right now. Because why risk the liquidation? Especially if you're 2x. Especially if you're 2x leverage, man. Why risk it? All right, shout out to Bullish on Parade, who says, Jay, Bitcoin weekly market cipher B during the drop from April to November 2021. I see what you're saying. Very similar. Yeah, maybe we get that one more big push. That's really what I'm hoping for, man. You're talking about how we had the bearish divs. We got a nice deep oversold wave and then the bear div. I mean, I almost feel like that was this, you know? I almost feel like that was this here. But what do I know? I hope. Worshipping gold. Look, I don't worship gold, but look, gold has been money for 5,000 years of recorded human history, okay? Gold has been money for 5,000 years. Gold historically has never lost its purchasing power. And so you can't go wrong with gold, man. You know, gold and silver. That's God's money, all right? That's God's money. God made that stuff. All right? Garden of Eden, you know, talks about gold in Genesis 2:11. We don't plan, we hope. I know. Shout out to G.I. Joe. I sold my Doge and H-bar to make sure you get your house paid off. That's what's up. You know, that is really what's up. Yeah, you're right, Poach on Parade. He says our only saving grace is that the market makers won't leave the alt money on the table. Yeah, that's what's up. You know? It talks about gold in the Garden of Eden. It talks about gold when the Lord comes back. It talks about gold in the New Jerusalem. Just can't get away from gold, right? Gold and silver, that's God's money right there. That's God's money right there. I still can't get over this. Wow, you know? That's pretty interesting. So, Solana. You know, in general, Solana's still in this range here. We didn't form a bearish divergence at this lower high. And I'd say I'm quite interested to see what happens at $125. If we see everything make a lower low here, $125 looks really nice for Sol. In my opinion, this Sol actually looks the best out of all these charts here, right? I know some people say it's a diamond reversal pattern. I can see that. But I also just see a nice support resistance split, a fake out, and then back test, right? So I could see that as well. Will I open any trades in the future? Yes, I'll open many trades in the future. Would Jesus trade Bitcoin? If Jesus's adopted father traded Bitcoin, then yeah, he would. You know, he just learned his father's trade. So yeah, if Joseph had been a Bitcoin trader, yeah, he would have traded Bitcoin. But instead, he traded other things. Some people think he worked with wood. Some people think he worked with stone. I don't know. Let's check out the 15-minute time frame. Someone says we have 8-hour bull divs on Sol. Are we looking at Sol? We don't have an 8-hour bull div on Sol. We do have... Oh, wait. Do we? No, we don't have an 8-hour bull div on Sol. We don't. Are you talking about Bitcoin? Depending on the exchange, we do have an 8-hour. So on Coinbase, we do have an 8-hour bullish divergence on Coinbase. Yeah. Yeah. We do. We do. So this thing confirms in 6 hours. You know, let's wait and see. Like I said, $107,000. We need to come above that for our first sign of real strength. Really, I'd say making a high above 109.3, depending on your exchange. That would be our first actual real like market structure shift. And then we could look for the back test of 107. And then we could look for a move up to around 117.5. Right? This is something of interest for me. Speaking of future trades, something like this is definitely of interest for me. Maybe next week. Something like this next week. The fear and greed index. I hear we're in extreme greed, but I haven't looked for myself. Blood diamond on the weekly. Oof. We're going to 80K. Oof. Whether the bottom is in or not, most people will be offside. FOMO will add fuel to the fire. Bitcoin 15-minute time frame, says somebody. Let's check it out. Looks like some hidden bearish divergence with money flow getting lower. We also have a nice local bullish div at the low. If we can reclaim 107, that's going to be the first sign of hope. We make a higher high than 109.3. That is going to be a real sign of local strength that potentially could take us back up to the top of the range here. Yeah, the 15-minute looks a little ambiguous. Let's take a look actually at the order flow. What do I think about the M2 money supply? I think it's intriguing. I think it's intriguing. I do think it's intriguing. What does a multi-month short setup look like? A multi-month short setup looks like this. Well, I mean, are we already in the short trade? If we're not already in the short trade, then a multi-month short setup looks like this. Entry is going to be here. Right? At the bearish backtest. And the target is going to be down here at the Fibonacci golden pocket for target 1, and target 2 would be down at around below $70,000. So if we're talking a multi-month short setup here, I would say this is probably it. We're looking to come and backtest the support resistance flip right here, right? And we're basically looking to trade this as a sideways range, right? stay down here for a little bit. Then we get the reclaim, and then we could continue on up, right? That is what a multi-month short setup would look like. And honestly, this is a trade that I personally am going to be looking for. Absolutely, 100%. You know? Shout out to Aaron G. What's going on, bro? God bless you, man. If you didn't short at 126, you're late, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't enter here. We need to wait for a retracement to the upside, right? Here's what we'd be looking at here, right? We flip the scale upside down. Basically, we're looking for something like this to happen where, you know, we see the weekly continued direction, continued money flow. You know, if this really was a chart, we would say this looks so bullish right now on the weekly. But yeah, and we would be targeting this high. We'd be targeting, if this, you know, we flip the chart upside down, it becomes pretty obvious that this would be our setup. We get a pullback to retest the low, and obviously we have our resistance 1 at the golden pocket, and then we have our resistance 2 at the support resistance flip up here. You know, so yeah, if you're not short from 126, obviously we gotta wait. I was hoping to actually add to this short trade earlier this week because I thought we were going to come up to the Fibonacci golden pocket. Unfortunately, we never did, so I never got my entry here, but it's not too late if we start to get a move up here to look for something like that, right? Because we never made a lower low on most exchanges here. It's crazy. Sometimes just flipping the scale upside down can give you a completely different, you know, what's the word? A different perspective on the charts, you know? Shout out to Crypto Coons. Shout out to Irish Dutchman. Shout out to Cherry City Bullies. God bless you. I don't know who you're talking about, whether me or someone in the chat, but whatever the case, God bless you. And may God bless everybody in here in Jesus' name. May the Lord bless you all. Aaron G is short. 2 shorts. That's what's up. Aaron G caught the 116 short. That's good, man. That's good. I didn't have a good setup there, so I didn't take anything, you know, sadly. Sadly. Yeah, so that would be a multi-month short trade right there. You know? There you go. Outlook, perspective, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, shout out to Orshak. Can I get a shout out? Yeah, Orshak. What's going on? Shout out to Yodeling. God bless Yodeling. Shout out to Suburban Whale. Shout out to Backup Terry 4040. Yeah, most altcoins are looking really bullish on Market Cypher B. They really are. Should we all buy Trump coin? Yeah, I'd say yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not buy Trump coin? Let's take a look at Trump coin. Oh man, if only we had got Trump coin down here, huh? I mean, the thing is beat down, right? At some point, Trump coin's going to come back. At some point, Trump coin's going to come back, man. That is wild. Look at that wick. So everyone who bought after the election is down 100%. Okay, cool. That's nice. That's nice, you know? That's so funny. Oh, man. Let's take a look at the daily. Man, if we get that wick, that is so funny. I mean, if we come back down to like $3, I would buy Trump coin for sure. Look, eventually it's gonna pump. And if you ask why, my answer is simple. Because of Donald Trump. It's gonna pump because of Trump. Eventually it's gonna pump. And then Trump's gonna talk about it or something and be like, look at that, you know, I told you. He didn't tell us anything about this coin. Actually, for all we know, Trump doesn't know anything about this coin. It's just been like a silent thing. He hasn't really said anything about it, like with his voice on TV or in a speech or anything like that, you know. What an interesting event. But yeah, I'd buy it $3. Why not? We could see it pump again. Why not? Yeah, I would buy Trump. Absolutely. And let's see. I mean, even if we come back up to what it was, right? That's 1,000% gains. We come back up to $16. That's 200% gains. I'm not like putting a lot of money up in here, but you know, one thing I've noticed about worthless, stupid coins is they pump for no reason after they dump and everyone thinks they're dead, right? Look at Dogecoin, you know, look at all these stupid meme coins in the past that have pumped for no reason after everyone thought they were dead. Yeah, I could see Trump pumping again. I could see Trump pumping again. Trump is live right now. Seems like Trump's always live, right? Seems like Trump is always live. Good old Donald Trump, man. Honestly, you gotta love Trump. You gotta love him. I'm apolitical. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote. I don't believe that our votes count. I think everything's predetermined, and it's just like politics is like, it's sports for people who think they're smart. I think it's all scripted. It's literally all scripted. So because I believe it's literally all scripted, you gotta love Trump and the role that he's playing. Like Trump as an actor, he's hilarious. He is just so awesome. I love Trump's character. I have to hand it to him. You know, as somebody myself who is like, enjoys humor and sarcasm and stuff like that, you gotta be honest, he's a very funny, entertaining character, Trump, to watch. I mean, always has been. So that's what I mean when I say you gotta love Trump, you know. I mean, come on, when he worked at McDonald's, when he drove around in the garbage truck, come on, man, that's hilarious. That's something I would do. That's hilarious. Yeah, Trump is a good actor. I mean, he literally had his own TV show. He's literally made appearances on World Wrestling Entertainment before. So, I don't know. It's hard to trust an actor. They do put on a good show, honestly. It is a good show. But, unfortunately, I don't really have time to pay attention to the show too much. I got stuff to do. It's so funny, you know, I was telling my dad the other night, shout out to my dad, I was telling him, you know, Dad, Pops, it's funny, everyone's so worried about politics and the president and all this stuff. They waste all their energy and their focus on politics, which isn't going to change anything in the long term. Maybe some short-term band-aids depending on your political persuasion. You might see a little short-term change, but really it's not going to change anything. But what's funny is, personally, like in my own life, under Biden's presidency, when we had a president who pooped his pants in public, couldn't think straight, didn't know where he was all the time, I made way more money than I did when Trump was president. I had more children under Biden. I grew more food. I started a more successful business than the one I had started when Trump was president. All this during Biden. And you know why? It's because I don't give a crap about politics, and I'm not wasting my energy worrying about who the front man is for the shadow government. Just keep your head down and work hard and produce stuff for yourself. And if you want to get into politics, get into local politics, because that's really where stuff is going to change. See what's happening in your town. Is your town embracing these sustainable development UN agendas? Because a lot of townships are in the United States, local rural ones. Make sure that crap don't happen. What's going on in your local schools? What are they teaching your kids? You know? Focus on your own dang community. The White House. It's not going to change anything for you. Come on. Come on. Sheesh. And I know everyone has a different opinion on politics. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not against politics, but for me, I'd rather just focus on the stuff I can actually control, right? Shout out to Messy Jesse. He says, peep game on a top and bottom indicator. It's called Too Many Secrets. There's an indicator called top and bottom indicator. Sounds too good to be true. Sounds too good to be true. Should probably check it out. Anyway, guys, you know what? I have to head out. It's almost 2 p.m. my time. May the Lord bless you all. In Jesus' name. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Hope everyone has a blessed weekend. Make sure to take some time away from the charts. Spend time with your friends and family. Remember, God first, family second, work third. Crypto, at least fourth or lower, all right? Love you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell. Peace.